Hey, I'm Irene Meyer on the Keeping It Real podcast, where we talk about real financial problems with real people and talking about real solutions.
And I'm Phillip Villanueva, and I'm here to help. An interesting question was asked because we are insurance agents, right? And we see YouTube videos, TikTok videos, all this kind of stuff about infinite banking, et cetera, right? And they're always talking about insurance. So somebody asked me, is insurance actually a means to build wealth? So let me reflect that back to you. What are your views on that?
It depends. Okay. It depends on the person. There are ways to build wealth through some insurance policies, but it really is very specific to the kind of person I'm dealing with, Phil. So if I don't want to lose anybody, because I want this to be a very elementary conversation, but let's say you come across a client who's maxed out their ability to contribute to their RSPs, or like in the US, it's their 401ks, or they've maxed out the ability to max out their TFSAs. And they
And
have just,
to make this easy, let's leave this Canadian just to make it easy.
sure, yeah. And so they've maxed out their ability to do that. And now they're looking for other ways to do to build their savings or their investments or futures with tax-free options. Some insurance policies are the answer, whereas a lot of people don't realize this. But where I have a problem is where there are advisors that sell it right from the get-go without even knowing about the client, and sell it as a wealth building strategy without even knowing the background of the client they're talking to.
And how does that affect like the background of a client? How can that affect whether an insurance policy? Because isn't it just you put money into an insurance policy and there you go?
Yeah, sure. But again, at the end of the day, if my client hasn't learned the benefits of, let's say that they don't have RSPs or don't have TFSAs, how can I show them, okay, life insurance in general, okay? Life insurance in general is important, okay? Different amounts match different needs, so on and so forth, okay? So let's just leave the insurance part to the side. I'm talking about the wealth part of an insurance policy.
Okay.
If my clients have not built discipline to put money towards a registered registered retirement savings plan or a tax-free savings account, things that are within their reach
Mhm.
that they have 100% control over, I do not think that selling life insurance strategies is appropriate. It's saying, hey, you can be a marathon runner in the Olympics. I'm like, me? I can? Yeah, you can. Where I've never run a race in my life. Do you know what I mean? That's what I think of it as. Talking about this infinite banking or using insurance to build retirement plans is like telling somebody like me who's never run a race in her life that you can be a marathon runner in the Olympics,
Mhm.
right? Oh, 100% is possible. But
Right.
who would do that?
Right.
Right? If I haven't learned how to run properly in the first place, I should probably learn how to do that first before I decide that I'm going to go and train to be a marathon runner.
So you're saying it's good to build the habits of investing and saving money before you even consider an insurance policy?
Again, let's take the insurance word out of it to
Okay.
consider the insurance policy as your only wealth builder.
Okay.
So remember what I said was I had a problem with insurance agents selling insurance policy as the only way to build wealth.
Okay, that makes sense. That to me that makes sense, right? Because of exactly what you said. You're asking somebody to run before they're even crawling,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And the fact that we have people on TikTok talking about it like infinite banking or whole life insurance policies, like where they stick to one product. I get what they're doing. That's fine. Get people to think, right? Get people to reach out to them. But you got to talk to the right advisor who will ask the right questions that's beneficial to you.
Is there a generalized kind of concept that you would promote without being specific to? I always have trouble when someone says, "What would you do?" I always have trouble because I personally feel everything is very individual. Everything is, it depends. That's the biggest thing for me. It depends because whoever's in front of me is going to be a different scenario to the next person who's going to be in front of me. But in your opinion, can it be generalized in any way?
Can what be generalized? Like
Like
building wealth?
the kind of the approach when someone wants to start building their net worth and their net wealth, their net value overall. Is there a generalized way to get started?
Stop living in the red. Live in the black, get out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle. I think that would be a really good start. Generally, to when I talk to people, that is where people need to start, is get out of living from owing the bank's money.
Paycheck to paycheck. Okay,
Mm.
that's a very good expression. How old do you think that expression is?
I don't know. Do you know?
Before my time, right?
You know?
It's probably before my dad's time. It's probably before that time. So it's been around for a really long time. So let's face it, that concept is not going away.
No, it's not. It's getting
But
actually worse.
worse, but there are a lot of people with high net wealth at the same time. So what are they doing different than the than everyone else that is struggling?
That is a great question. I'm sure you've run into people, clients that you can think of at the top of your head where you're like, yeah, you're good,
Hmm.
right? You've
Right.
you've talked to people. For me, if I had to generalize these people, they're people that are very like they do not like owing people. Like they do not like owing money. They just stay away from owing money at all.
Hmm.
Okay. That's one very strong characteristic. And the second one is that, and again, it's very rare, and I hate to say that it's rare, but it is rare. They just find a way to put money where it's not in consumable goods. It's not, they don't spend on things they don't need. Does
Right.
that make sense? Yeah,
Yeah.
these might be the same people that buy a really nice car and it's maybe not something they need, but they've saved money to buy
Yes.
that car.
They don't just buy it on a whim.
No
They actually have pre-planned that idea.
plan.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking of a gentleman specifically who's actually an insurance agent who's worth, I think he's worth over $4 million at this point. But it wasn't until his latter years, I think he broke his 3 million before he even thought about buying his $1 million home. Previous
Mm.
to that, he was living in an average home. He's a millionaire living in an average home. We both know him. He's actually one of our seniors on our team. That part of his life stories. So he didn't like right away. He made his first million, all of this kind of stuff. Didn't buy his big home right away because it wasn't part of his plan.
Yeah.
Closer to his 3 million, that's when his plan was to buy this immaculate home that he was going to have, etc. Because why?
Right.
That $3 million home is really like $100,000 home to the average Joe, or that $1 million
Right.
home for him. So that's why, because at that point he realized that it would now fit into his budget, maintaining a higher net value over the expense of this property. And
Yeah.
that's why the 1 percentile are the 1 percentile,
Yeah.
because we're all out buying anything and everything to look good and to feel good and et cetera, et cetera. Those, like, look at I lost his name, the guy, Elon Musk. You see him wearing the clothes. He's not wearing crazy clothes, but yet I'll see some guys at a nightclub, young 20-year-olds at a nightclub, blinged right out, right?
Hmm.
Then you compare what Elon Musk can do as opposed to what this guy at the 20-year-old at the bar can do. Realistically, if Elon Musk wanted to go to Paris for the weekend, he could just hop on a plane and go, right?
Yeah.
And the 20-year-old's still trying to pay his rent, but he's got
Yeah.
all this bling.
And it's interesting because you to come back to the original question, building wealth through insurance plans. And
Right.
we talk about all the different social media that's coming at us. It
Mm-hmm.
is trying to sell that average Joe this idea of being wealthy or getting rich fast a
Yeah.
different way, right? But as you've probably experienced, we can show all these different strategies to the average person, and that average person will still just be average because they haven't actually learned.
The value of money.
Sure.
That's really
Yeah.
what it
The
is. They
value of
haven't.
money. That's really what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Now here's the thing though. Okay, so why would someone want to get in? Like, why would someone want to get an insurance policy then? If the insurance policy isn't the answer, and insurance agents are constantly saying that it is, then why would we even get one?
Are you going to ask me my opinion, or is
Sure.
like you have
Yeah,
your own answer as well?
absolutely. So I'm asking your opinion, then if it might coincide with mine, we'll see.
Yeah. Insurance, I think, should be really just labeled my peace of mind strategy. Like to me, that's what it is, right? So peace of mind strategy, meaning like if tomorrow I were to get hit by a bus,
Mhm.
then my peace of mind is the fact that I'm not leaving a bunch of crap, debts, anything to anybody to figure out, let alone a bill to take care of my funeral expenses.
Mhm.
That is the most irresponsible thing anyone can do. That would be one reason for having insurance. Second one is if I'm going to build all of this, if I'm going to have all this effort to build my wealth, and let's say I lose my job or lose my ability to make income, like I'd need to protect that. I'd need to protect that wealth. And what I mean by that is if I were to lose my ability to make an income because of a disability or an illness, I wouldn't want to start like siphoning all the savings I have, all of that work I put into savings. So insurance allows me the peace of mind to not have to touch all of that wealth I've built, but also realize that my bills are going to be paid even if I can't make an income because of a sickness or disability. So there's many types of insurance, but I call it my peace of mind strategy because I think at the end of the day, that's what I need. I need peace of mind that I'm not leaving anything to anybody else and I'm protecting myself in case something happens to my ability to make income.
And going on your second part too, and that's a really good, the way you said it was really good. Let me ask you, do you have a quarter million sitting in your bank account? No. So that's, I think, why setting up an insurance policy is a good idea because we don't have that money, right?
Right.
So that's, like you said, the peace of mind end of everything. The idea is to build to that amount of money. Fair enough. So that's why there's different kinds of, depending on what the need of the client is or the person is, what they're trying to attain. If they're trying to attain net wealth, and when we do our calculations, etc., that net wealth is X amount of dollars, maybe that's the amount of coverage they like, insurance coverage they want to start with, right?
Mhm.
And then as they get to that with the other parts of everything, maybe at that point we can eliminate the insurance policy,
Yeah.
possibly, right?
Yeah.
Because
Possibly.
they're there. And realistically, let's say they did lose their job. They're already at that net wealth area that they wanted to be at. And now it's just realistically rejuggling everything. If they, let's say they lost their job or they got sick or whatnot, right? Rejuggling everything. So their gains on whatever they've built is now covering these other expenses as opposed to the actual principal amounts, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of juggling there that an advisor can actually do for somebody, right? At that point. But until we get to that point, we all need help.
Yeah. You didn't answer the question for yourself.
For
How do
myself,
you,
yeah.
why do people
No,
need insurance?
that exactly that we need one, exactly, the peace of mind we need to have for ourselves, that security blanket, because we don't actually have the funds. So if we have an issue, something goes astray, we need to make sure we have that coverage to replace whatever we're going to lose depending on the situation that happens to us, right?
Mhm.
If we, like you said, if we have a serious accident and we lose a limb, or we go blind or anything of that
Uh-huh.
nature, what are you going to do?
Mhm.
Like, people don't think that way, right? They don't think about that, but that's a reality of life.
Yeah.
You could be driving, get hit by a car, not pass away, but now be a cripple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sad to think about, but a reality of life,
Yeah.
right? You could be that awesome dad who's putting up the Christmas lights on that two-story house and the ladder falls and you break your back,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And that dad is the sole provider for that entire household.
Yeah.
Really sad, but those things happen, right?
Yeah.
So if you do not have something in place to make sure that the idea of, if that were to happen, the what if happens, what would you need to feel secure, right? And does
Right.
what you think the amount that you think, does that actually work? And we would do the calculations, and we could actually calculate that for you. We have the tools to do that, to see whether or not the amount that you think is the realistic amount, or this is what you're actually earning now, this is what you're doing to provide for your family, this is really what you need based off of what you're currently earning now for your family, supporting
Right.
and we can just figure all that out. That's easy calculations for us, right?
Yeah.
So that's the need for insurance until we're at the point now. And sure, we have that coverage. That's great. That's sitting in the background. That's growing, right? That's sitting there. Now let's worry about, okay, let's figure out how we're going to build your net wealth to that amount. So you don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
and the realistic part of all of this is there's many different kinds of policies. Could you imagine? Some people don't even know that there's insurance policies where literally you can get every single penny you've paid into it back.
Oh, I know.
People don't know that. We're
Yeah.
here to advise you on how to do that. You want to know about that? You click on our link and we'll talk to you.
Yeah.
You said
Yeah.
we will talk to you about these kind of things, strategies where you could actually think of your insurance policy. Why does someone want to buy a home? Why does anyone really want to buy a home?
So they can own something.
They own something, yes. And what is the purpose of owning that home?
So you can eventually sell it and get your money back.
It's got a value to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That home has a value. Their insurance policy designed exactly like a home. You own
Mm-hmm.
it. There's a value to it. Just like your mortgage, when someone first bought their home, guaranteed that home is not the same price, the same value that they bought it 10 years ago or 5 years ago or 20 years ago or whatever. That home has increased. There are insurance policies designed exactly the same way that down the road, its value actually increases. So now
Right.
they actually have something of significant cash value that
Yeah.
they could sell back to the insurance company, not just cancel it all out. And they could actually say, okay, I have this insurance policy, insurance company. I want you to buy it back. And they're gonna write you a check. People don't know that.
No.
Wait, what? What? That's no, that insurance doesn't do that. I pay to insurance. I get nothing back unless I die.
Mhm.
No,
No.
right?
No.
And these are the things that we educate people on. So now you've not only built up your net wealth on the outside part of everything. Oh, I don't need my insurance policy anymore. I want to sell that insurance policy. I'm going to get that cash amount, right? And I'm
Right.
going to invest that.
Well, now you're trying to contradict what I said in the original question. Or or you're trying to make a case for it where you can build wealth through an insurance policy.
You can build it, but it's not like you said, it's not just the insurance policy because we have to catch up to it. Policy, like you said in your second part, was it's peace of mind. Some people call it peace of mind, some people call it end of days, whatever. I like the peace of mind because that's literally what it is. If something were to happen, I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I have protected my family. And if you're a single person, people say, I don't have kids, I don't have a wife. Yeah, but there's somebody in your life that's going to have to do and account for everything that you have done. Somebody is going to
Yeah.
have to take care of that, right? So if you don't care about anybody, then so when you pass away, you're just going to rot in a corner somewhere and
Yeah.
no, that's not life. You're
That's what's
not
gonna
the person
happen.
living in the real world, and that's not going to happen. You said it, we all need to have some kind of a coverage, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For whatever means it is. And those are the variables that we could figure out on an individual basis. But at the same time, if you are that individual who doesn't care about anyone else but wants to build your net wealth,
Yeah.
if you're not that net wealth yet, then that's the coverage you want to have because you want to get there. And as you're
Yeah.
building to that net wealth, you've got that peace of mind coverage because you already got that net wealth. Like
Yeah.
why do you want to have $1 million if you want to build
Yeah.
up $1 million if there's no reason to have that $1 million? You're not there yet. You got to get there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like you said, there's so many things, there's so many variables to that. And it's one of those conversations where it's really hard to say specifically in a general concept. And it floors me when agents do that all the time. You'll see
Yeah.
they do it. And I'm like, how are you generalizing it like that? Because I can't.
Yeah, I can't either. It to me just feels very transactional, different than the bank. And not there's anything wrong with the bank, right? But at the same time, I know a lot of people who have been like still very clueless about money, even though they have a banker. This kind of crossed my mind, and maybe this could be the next conversation we have, Phil, but why is there such a stigma about insurance?
Why? Because it's been sold a lot. It's been transactional a lot. That's why I actually came across just recently that situation happened where somebody already had a policy in place. The advisor knew it was a good policy, even said that to the client, but manipulated that policy because he wanted to make a sale. Manipulated it, changed it, reduced it, set something up that the client had, it was not even remotely on their radar that they wanted to do, had no bearings on their future goals, nothing. But that advisor had spent time and wanted to, so he recommended doing this kind of tweak on it, which wasn't going to benefit the client whatsoever. But the client, not knowing any better, did it.
Oh God.
Then talks to another advisor, is now thinking, maybe I made a mistake, and is thinking about retracting everything. But who wants, realistically, that's why insurance agents have a bad rep, because now think of what that client is thinking. I got
Oh yeah.
scammed by an insurance agent.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess so. When you think about car insurance, right? And people pay into car insurance because it's the law. When we get our license and want to have a car, we have to pay car insurance. There's no guarantee we're going to get into an accident, but it's that just in case, right? And we still pay it because we want to be able to drive.
Yeah.
Everybody on this earth, unless you're a vampire, is going to die. Everyone is going to die. Maybe not everyone's going to get an illness. Not everyone's going to be disabled, but everyone's going to pass away. Now, the question is when and how.
Right.
And so with that question being the only question, then why wouldn't we know? If I knew that, if I had a crystal ball and I knew I was going to get into a car accident like in 10 years, darn, I would get car insurance because I knew that's, but I think people have been burned so much by insurance types of policies. Now I'm not talking about life insurance, but insurance type of policies like car insurance where it didn't help them, right? Because they were at something.
Right.
Right. And I think
Or
people think that insurance are the same. Every insurance is the same. Might not pay out. Why would I waste my money?
right. Or it's a hit and run, so I'm the one who's having to up my premiums because the person
Yeah.
left.
Yeah. So I can see why people have this generalized perception of insurance and they lump life insurance into that. They lump critical illness and disability insurance. And I talk about standalone policies, not the ones that are on your car loans and your mortgages, by the way, but standalone policies where you actually are protected and you do have to jump through hoops to answer really pertinent questions to even get approved.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's why people have this perception. And like you said, people sell it like it's like water and sell it however they need to get a quick commission. I think that was definitely something that existed, especially when it first came out. And it still exists now. Like we have, like you had mentioned, that one client who ended up getting sold another insurance policy because he couldn't do anything about the one she already had. So he just totally dismantled hers and made her pay exact same, but for less coverage.
Right.
Like, how does that help anybody? It helps him, but not her. She's lost a whole bunch of coverage. Yeah, she's paying the same, but she's lost a whole bunch of coverage now.
Yeah. Yeah. And not directed towards what her intentions were. And
No.
that's a big thing, right? Yeah, no, and you're right. There are many different kinds of insurance. There's creditors insurance, there's car insurance, there's all these kind of insurances that, if anything, when it's time to pay out, they will find reasons not to. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, then why was I spending this money for the past 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever? And that's,
Yeah.
yeah, so it does get a bad feel that way. And if it wasn't law, people probably wouldn't get car insurance,
No.
realistically,
No,
right?
they probably won't, right? Everyone thinks they're invincible.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
surprised they make car insurance law, but they don't make life insurance law. I'm actually surprised.
Wow. Everyone dies. And like people are like, I just don't get it. Anyways, I think the next question for our next episode, I already have it in my mind, but I already know. I think would be talking about paying for your own funeral versus paying for life insurance.
Ooh,
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that next episode.
okay. Till
Okay.
then, see you guys later.
Yes. Have a good day.